James grew up here in Carbondale and graduated right here from Roaring Fork High School in 2004, where he was an all-state athlete in football, track, and rugby. He went on to Occidental College in Los Angeles and graduated with a degree in urban and environmental policy. James returned to the Valley to pursue a career in environmentally conscious development and ended up getting involved in the medical marijuana industry when the construction economy collapsed. James has owned the Doctor's Garden since 2010 and recently began selling to recreational clientele in January. Thank you. James, you're it at the very end. So James is from the Doctor's Garden here in Carbondale, recreational marijuana site here in Carbondale. You were the first business to open up. And can you tell me a little bit, or tell the audience a little bit about what your belief is about marijuana and teenagers?
Marijuana and teenagers do not mix. I mean, that's the industry belief. It is my personal belief. And just for all the reasons that people have touched on before me, I couldn't, come up with a better example of why not. But as far as being young and all the things that you're exposed to, all I would say is that the opportunities that you have now in development in your life are fleeting. Marijuana is always going to be there. Just like they said, when you turn 21, you can go in and get some marijuana. But before that, it's just, all these risk factors. You don't know where you fall in that criteria. You could be the person that tries it once and then ends up in rehab a month, 5 years later. I just don't think that marijuana and teenage brain mixes at all, and I think that abolition and until you're older, you should just avoid it.
Okay, James, can you tell us a little bit about what you and your business is doing to keep it out of the hands of kids?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a MITS system, it's called, Marijuana Inventory Tracking, where literally every plant that I plant has a radio tag that the Medical Marijuana Enforcement Division, I guess they're just the med now, the Enforcement Division, they can track those things. Every single person that comes into the establishment shows their ID. That ID goes on to a DVR system. So it creates a line of accountability and culpability that doesn't exist with, the drug dealer or the people that are exposed use to other things. So we do a lot in order to keep it out of the hands at the store level. And I think another message I'd like to get across is that parents and people that do purchase marijuana kind of need to take it from there. We keep everything in a child-proof packaging, but just like guns and alcohol, these things need to be kept away from children. And the same with the parents that are going to choose to grow plants. They just need to be in a place that they're not easily accessible. And then that'll be, kind of complete the line of accountability.
James, when you started your business, this was in 2013?
2010 in the medical, and then 2014, just this year, we went recreational.
So can you tell us a little bit about is it a lanyard that you're wearing and what that?
Oh, this, in order to even work in the industry, you've got to go through background checks. You've got to go through an entire process, to try to make sure that you're not the type of person that's going to try to get marijuana in the wrong hands and things like that. There's a lot of things that the state does, a lot of people don't realize in order, to make sure that the people running these businesses are accountable and are good people that have good records and aren't the type of people that are going to try and get marijuana in younger people's hands.
As the Roaring Fork Leadership Group, we actually toured James's business, and when we went in, there was no marijuana in sight at all. Is that something that you do every evening when you close?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys came in after closing, and we keep everything locked in a 30-minute rated safe. 30-minute meaning that a person with an actual drill would take them 30 minutes to get in. So there's no quick run in the spot, grab the stuff type of deal. We keep everything locked down, and largely just, to create that barrier where it's not easily accessible. And hopefully people do something, not as extreme, but take their own precautions at home so this stuff is not accessible to youth.
And is there something that you also, I think you had mentioned to us that you actually send home with a pamphlet, informational?
We've got information about driving and use and a lot of different pamphlets available in the shop, but also on the label, there's just like a medicine or something to that. We've got a label on it, and we've got a childproof packaging. All our vials are purple, so if they're showing up in your kids' rooms, you can come to the shop and we can figure out why that is.
Uh-oh, you might have a lot of parents visiting you.
I hope not. I don't think that medical and recreational marijuana largely is the product that's getting into the youth. I think the existing drug dealer is much more likely for that to happen.
If I can interject, also James has we know each other because while he was going through the process of the opening for retail, of course, the town and my department was involved quite a bit as far as the security measures and things to make sure that, he had everything, well above and beyond compliance. But also James has offered, a few different times to go ahead and work with us if we, had gained marijuana from one of the kids that we pick up to help identify, because he's a businessman, he runs a regular business, and he knows his plants. So he has offered to help us in identifying whether it did come from his facility or if it came from somewhere else, or, to kind of help track things a little bit. So, that's credit to you.
Just using the purple canister, is there any way to determine who purchased the marijuana?
Yeah, technically, everyone that comes in, I've got a whole system. It's an inventory tracking, so that it literally, if there were, say, 5 small grams of certain strains, I can go in my system in the history and be like, oh wow, so and so bought those at this time. And I could go on to the camera, see who came in during that time, because their ID would be available, and there would be a line of culpability there where we could figure out. And more likely, if it was a repeat problem, that's something that we could figure out.